Welcome to my podcast. The name of the podcast is industREAL. The purpose of the podcast is to give industry professionals the platform to speak about what it really means to be in your industry. So this is all in hopes for customers and clients to have a better understanding of what we have to go through and learn to respect our craft. So this is my lovely guest, Nikia. She could go ahead and introduce herself and introduce which industry she's working in now.
My name is Nikia. I am in the wedding and events industry. I am a wedding planner and event designer. And I don't know, what else do you want to know about my industry?
I'd like to know first and foremost, what is the biggest misconception you feel like people have about you in your industry as a wedding planner? Or that's what you are, right?
Well, there's a couple of them. Yes. Yes, there's a couple of misconceptions that they don't need us / we're not worth the cost. And I think a bigger one is day of coordinator. Trying to have someone come in on the day of to help you plan your wedding or run your wedding on the day of. It is probably the hugest misconception in the wedding planning industry, as far as I've come across. Mainly because people expect you to come in on the day of and just be able to pick up and go, but you haven't met any vendors, right. You don't know what the plan is. Like, there's a lot of background work that we'd have to go over, and I doubt that we want to be having this conversation when you should be getting your makeup done. So ideally, a better term would be event management or wedding management, or even month of coordination.
Right.
Because it's going to take at least a month, maybe 6 weeks or more. Some people like to start 6 to 8 weeks for wedding management, but at least 6 weeks is a generally good area to start to go over the contracts and make sure you're not breaking any of the vendors' rules, and make sure that they have everything that they need, everything that's specified in the contracts. Make sure that everything is running on time. It's easier to build a timeline when you know what everybody needs, what everybody's expecting, when you're supposed to be where, who's delivering what, when, how, all those things. So to come in at least 6 weeks before is a better starting place and a better I don't want to say term, but it's basically a better service than day of coordination. So technically, day of coordination doesn't exist.
So what if, big what if, I'm getting married tomorrow and my wedding planner that's supposed to be organizing everything calls me and says, I have a death in the family, I can't make it.
Then your wedding planner should be responsible for finding you someone comparable to replace them. Either their assistant or someone else that they've worked with that can step in and take over for that. They shouldn't just leave that on you. In the event that they do, then, you have to do what you have to do. I'm sure someone can step in. It won't be as smooth as it should be. I don't know, but
this doesn't happen yet.
It will. It has happened to me. Jeez, hope it doesn't. But I mean, when we have to step in, we do what we have to do. Right. We make it work, and we trying to stay in the background as much as possible, so that your day is all about you. You get all the shine, all the fun, with none of the work.
Got it.
None of the headaches, because there are lots of fires that need to be put out on the day of that we're sure you don't want to be dealing with.
Definitely been in a few weddings where I'm like, what in the heck are we all smiling about right now? The cake fell, right? But so, okay.
That's never good either, because then you got to come up with a backup plan, go to the closest bakery, fix it up real quick.
A little history. Why did you choose this path, like wedding planner, versus anything else?
Man, this is a long story. We're not even going to get into all of that.
We're going to summarize it.
So, long story short, I like to build things with my hands. I like to create. I like to design. I've been doing parties for family on and off off for about 10 years. And then maybe like 2-3 years ago, I was like, you know what? Let's just take it serious. And from going to workshops and stuff, different conferences to kind of really figure out where I wanted to go, it was like design and wedding planning is really where it's at for me. That's what makes me happy. That's what keeps me going. Even creating the proposals, like that's a lot of work in itself, but just,
we're gonna get to that.
Just the design portion of it is what makes me happy. So I just like to create. Yeah. And I like to create for people. So
right. And creating for someone else is not easy because you're not in their head. So you have to dive into their head to understand what this vision is that they want. So that's really interesting about planning anything for somebody else.
Right.
And when you like something, why not let it make you money?
Exactly.
Like you start enjoying something, it's a hobby, that hobby turns into money, that money turns into riches. Why not? So
riches that comes naturally.
Because you already like it. Yes, exactly. So you kind of like touched some topics that I want to talk about later. Thanks a lot, Nikia.
I'm sorry.
Let's keep it here.
Dial it back.
Don't fast forward.
My bad.
But so this is always interesting when I talk to people or myself dealing with pricing.
Talk to me.
I talk to myself, girl, because sometimes that's the best person to talk to.
Listen, sometimes you gotta have a team meeting. Iris
squared, Iris multiplied, whatever the math is, that's what we're doing. So pricing, I feel like, is such a big thing. I don't know if it's just in the Black community, and I would really love to do some research about that, but I feel like when it comes to us, pricing is always this big, like, oh, how do I price? Like, how do I charge things? Like, how do I charge for this? What should I charge? Like, is it that we don't know our worth? Is it that we don't know this, we don't know that? But I definitely want to understand from your perspective, how do you think pricing works? If you don't have final prices yet, like what's preventing you from creating that price list that you think works for you and your customers?
Whew, girl, where do I start? So pricing.
Second joke.
So pricing is always hard for me because I feel like I'm trying to express more value so people can see that it's worth what I'm charging. But in order to get to that, it's a lot to consider in the background, like how much planning is needed, how many phone calls, how many emails, how much time is going to go into the proposal, how much time is going to go into getting the decor aspects right, and making sure that all these products or elements are available on the day and time that you need, making sure that the execution is right, how much assistance I need, and then trying to relay all that and the costs. Like, this is what you're going to get, but this is what it takes me to get to that point. That is always an issue in itself. And on top of every event
and she didn't factor in gas.
I did not. But on top of every event being different and everybody having different needs, like some people might like the acrylic menus, or some people can't afford the acrylic menus, so you can't include that in their cost. Like it goes by people's budgets and what's most important to them. So for me, I don't have a set price because I'm always building off of what the customer wants, or what they need, or what is going to make their vision come alive. So it really just depends on what elements are included. And then it also depends on the guest count too. Yeah. The guest count is a huge factor, because the more guests you have, the more astronomical the price is going to be. Right. And that's not to say you can't have a small wedding or event and still have a crazy budget because you want this Instagram worthy event. You can do that. You can definitely do that. You can do it fairly easy. But again, it's just the pricing is different for everyone. So just trying to accommodate everything I need to do on the back end, your vision, how many guests, like all of those,
and still make a profit.
Huge factor. Oh yes.
Without like.
And sometimes I have to dig into my profit because I want to do something for the client. So, and
the clients may not even know that's what's happening. They might not even realize.
They're not supposed to know.
They're not supposed to know, but this is the time to tell them. Like, girl,
I
You
wasn't
don't
talking
know.
to you, clients.
I'm talking to you, clients.
Disregard that. I'm just saying, speaking to other industry folks, sometimes.
I'm talking to you, clients, though, because I feel like people don't realize how much we're willing to sacrifice in order to make our clients, customers, consumers happy.
Mm-hmm.
All they see is the end result. And then you're happy or you're still miserable and you're still questioning X, Y, and Z. And it's like, honey, my car broke down on my way to getting your equipment. Or because I didn't get your down payment for the event, I had to go into my savings or whatever because I'm just starting my business or whatever the case is. So
when your payment is behind, that makes everything else behind. Like we have it set up for a reason, for a specific way. By the time you pay me this or you pay this to this person, they can drop this off. This contract is done. We now have this set in stone. Like these deposits are serious. And especially when you're working with frienders, like family and people who don't actually have their business already set up. If you have a family photographer come in to do your photos, but you don't have a deposit or a contract because they're friends, they're gonna do it for me or whatever. And then with the wedding industry about to take off the way it is after last year, if somebody calls them and say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you to do this," you now lose that person.
Right.
There's no contract. There's no deposit. What are you going to do?
Right.
It's going to be super hard to find someone to replace them last minute. So that's why deposits are important. Contracts are important. Pricing, all of that is
and even people's time.
Important.
Like, I feel like I never hired a wedding planner or anything before, but I feel like if I reach out to Nikia and say, "Hey, I want to do this event," Nikia now already prints out the questionnaire or whatever the forms are that are needed before she does a final contract with the client. And she probably going to do some research. Let me check out the venue. Let me check out my dates. Let me see
if
this.
you have a venue. Sometimes I have to find a venue for you.
And this could all be pre-finalization. So it's like, if I don't give her a deposit, I just wasted, even if it's 15 minutes of her time, that's 15 minutes she could have been working with like another client, another customer that you just took up and now she's not getting paid for it. And this is her livelihood.
And so the amount of time, of time that goes into the proposal building just to see if you want to book me, that's a lot of time as well.
Right.
Like, I have to do a lot of research to pull together your ideas, to try and translate it visually for a lot of people. A lot of people prefer to see stuff visually. So to try and translate your ideas that's in your head, my interpretation, and put it on paper and make it sound and look decent to you so that you want to hire me is a lot of work in itself as well. So
just for someone to not respond.
Oh, that's the worst.
Just for someone to say, "Oh, no, thank you."
Then you don't want to harass them either. Like, "Hey, did you get it? Did you go over it? Do you like it?"
Just respond back and say, "Hey, that's not for me right now. Like, that's not in my budget." Or can we communicate? Can we negotiate something like
something?
Just try to give them an understanding because you don't understand what it takes to do what they're doing. Because if you did, you'd do it yourself.
Oh man, that's the other thing too. A lot of people do try to do it themselves, and they easily
and it looks like they did try to do it themselves.
That too. But they easily become overwhelmed because they don't realize how much actually goes into it. And then the difference between wedding planning and event planning, you should only get one wedding, but this is a big day. And going into it, you always think this is, my wedding, one and done kind of thing. So you only get one chance to get it right, really.
Right.
So that's why everything is like heightened when it comes to a wedding versus a baby shower. There might be another baby shower next year. Right. There might be another birthday party for another kid in a couple of months, So weddings are really just like, it has to be perfect. It has to be dreamy. It has to be everything that you want. Everyone has to be on time. It has to flow. Like, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of everything, feelings, emotions, everything that goes into wedding planning. So it's not just that the prices are a little bit higher. It's a lot more work. And the revisions and stuff, like going over, hey, make sure this is really what you want, or do you like these napkins with this tablecloth and these
and I bet you response time suppose people don't respond on time.
Response time from everyone, from the client, from the vendor, everyone involved.
Everybody holds everybody up.
Like it has to keep moving. It has to keep moving. So it's just a lot of work. To try and do it on your own, I commend you, but why? What do you got me?
Clearly. Okay. So, what is some pushback you receive when you offer a service? We kind of touched this already when it comes to like building the proposal and all this stuff, and then people just don't respond. Because I can imagine if you have 3 people that are waiting, that are reaching out to you like, oh, I want you to book an event. Let's say they happen to be in the same year. And now you're doing these proposals for 3 different people.
Don't let them be on the same date.
Don't let them be on the same date. Because there's a million people. There's not a million people, but there's a lot of people in this world.
And a lot of times there are popular dates. So there are specific dates that people go after. And then there are just dates that are sentimental for other reasons.
Right.
So God forbid 2 people pick the same date. And I respond to the first person is not getting back to me fast enough. But because I'm already dealing with them, holding the date on reserve for them, I now lose this other customer because they didn't respond when I could have taken this other customer who was ready to book.
Right.
But because I was responding to you, trying to give you grace to decide what you wanted to do, and you...
Sounds like a lot of patience.
So all the time.
Sounds like she has a lot of patience.
Definitely a lot of patience in a lot of areas. So, yeah. So that just not responding in a timely manner is one thing. Not responding at all is a whole nother ball game. Like I put in all this work and you just ghosted me.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
Meanwhile, she could have just lost another client just because you could have just said, I'm all set.
Not for me. Yeah. I'm going to go in another direction. Anything.
Yep.
Thank you for your time and patience, but...
Because it is her time and the patience, but I'm just saying, in case you guys didn't hear her.
Yeah, so just stuff like that. The other thing, too, is, again, back to pricing, is proving that it's worth the price. So a lot of people, it kind of comes back to, well, I can do this myself for this amount of money, or I can have this person do it for this amount of money, and, it's just really trying to convey the value of what you're getting for the price. That's my biggest blowback.
And I think what is also important is that you said it earlier, which was you've gone to seminars, you've gone to workshops, you've gone to, I'm sure in the beginning you've done a few events for free just to like build your portfolio or just for learning experience. So I feel like on the outside looking in, if somebody's willing to do all this to learn, to make me satisfied with the job that she's doing, first, not even like saying my actual product is going to be nice, but the amount of time you took to try to make my product what I want it to be. Some of these seminars and stuff could cost you over $500.
Especially the hands-on ones.
Or how about the fact that you have to, some of them you might travel from Boston to A, B, and C to get there. So
I just went to Vegas for Wedding MBA. Oh my God, I loved it. It was so much information. It was like amazingly overwhelming, if that's a thing. Like, it's just so much information coming at you. I had like 2 notebooks full of notes.
She loves taking notes.
Plus all of the stuff at the trade shows. So like they had these seminars and multiple runs going on. They had this main stage that you gotta pick and choose which ones you want to go to, and then there's all these other gadgets that can help you, programs and 360 booths and just different things that you can invest in, invitations and stuff like that. So it was just taking all that information in. But that's just like the most recent thing that I've done. I work with a couple other wedding planners, event planners in the industry, just to get a feel for how they do things. I'm in a couple of different membership groups where it's constant training, monthly education is just being thrown at you. I'm always on a Zoom or something in my downtime trying to learn something new. I practice at home when I don't have any clients. I do a little setup in my house, see how I like it. Yeah. Maybe take some pictures, maybe post it, depending on if I like it or not. Just always practicing. Practice with balloons, practice with flowers. Everything.
Now, keep in mind, like...
It's a little harder to practice with planning, though.
Yeah. But that's my thing is, like, I don't think customers actually realize this part. Like, she's taking time out of her day to proactively, like, be here at the top of her game, not trying to, I like this, but let me just charge people $1 million to just come and do their wedding or whatever. No. She's investing in her time and energy and money, lots of money. So when she turns around and gives people prices, I feel like, are those prices also coming from her trainings that she's done too? Because now you have to pay me for my skills that I'm obtaining when I go to each of these events and trainings and work with all these other event planners that may be in a higher scale than me, so I could get to where they're at, and they're not cheap. She's a human being. She has a family. She has herself. She has to take care of herself. As an entrepreneur, I don't think people realize what that means. Meaning, like, you work for a company when you work, for example, at the hospital or something. I used to work at the hospital. That's another episode. But you work and they have their 401k, you have your paid time off, you have your
other benefits,
your health insurance and stuff. We have to contribute to our own, otherwise we don't have anything. So if Nikia doesn't have clients today or for a month or even for a year, Nikia doesn't have any money. So if Nikia has a great client and loves her and that word of mouth is growing, Nikia might have a new client every week. She has to be careful.
Word of mouth is definitely a power tool for wedding planners.
So that too, I would love for people to take in consideration when you talk about a job that's done for you. Like, don't just look and be like, oh, Nikia didn't make my programs the way I wanted to, but everything else came out perfectly fine. But you're going to focus on this one thing Nikia didn't do, and now you told 17 friends that are going to get married in the next few years, and now look. Those 17 friends could have called Nikia for a wedding that she took her time and invested in to try to make as good as it can be for that client, just for them to say, that program. What? The program? Did you see the flower girl?
The flowers.
Did you see the dust? Like, I'm confused.
Oh man, there's just so much that goes into it. It's word of mouth is great. Especially when it's positive, but also just leaving feedback. Like, if you shoot me a quick email or go on my Google business page and it was like, hey, Nikia did a great job. She did this. We love that. This was awesome. It don't have to be no whole super long story, but just anything. It helps.
Right.
Even if you need to tell me, hey, Nikia, I don't want to put this on your website, but I think you did this well, but you can work on this.
Right.
That is appreciated also, because now I know what else I need to work on, how else I can improve. I'm always looking to improve and be better, so everything helps. I want the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, that's only
not too
help
ugly.
Me get
Keep it calm.
Please. Yeah, let's not get too crazy.
But that's the purpose of this podcast. Like, I really want people to understand, like, what Nikia's day looks like as an event planner. Like, what does it take to start the day, start with a client, end with a client, work with a client, how much time that looks like, how much investing in yourself looks like, because everybody might think they could plan something. I plan like one thing and I'm like, oh no. I'll plan my son's birthday.
I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Look, I kid you not. I'll plan my son's birthday and be like, I'm just inviting his friends, because you know what? That's less input. I don't gotta worry about parents. I don't gotta worry about none of that. Drop your child off at 4.
Pizza.
Yeah, that's it. Drop your child off, and whatever I do with them, you can just in my hands.
There's nothing wrong with that. Some people prefer that. It's it's your choice. But
But that's because I know I can't handle planning. I know my role.
Yeah,
that's not
that's
it.
What you have me for? You can always call me.
Exactly. I'm calling her every time. Like, it's crazy. People really think like, oh, I can do this by myself. Do what?
Just imagine that
do
stress
what?
On your wedding
but
day.
Do what? I saw you plan an outing. It didn't go well.
Yeah, no.
You can't even plan a game night, but you want to plan a wedding.
Listen.
It happens, right?
It does happen. It does happen, and everybody thinks that it's different, or it's gonna be different because they care more about this event,
or they watched a few videos.
Oh yeah, the videos definitely. And don't get me wrong, I love YouTube University. It's whatever, but
that's because you already have the education and the skill behind it.
It's not the end all be all, right?
And the patience behind it, actually.
And there's nothing like the hands-on education that I've done.
Right.
There's more out there, and I plan to keep doing more, but hands-on education is where it's at for me.
Yeah. So overall, after having a great experience with a customer that genuinely appreciates everything you've done and the time you've taken and the work that looks fabulous after you're done, how does that make you feel?
Oh my goodness. It's like the best feeling ever when they come up to you after they walk down the aisle, which is amazing.
So you're there at the wedding as well?
Absolutely. All day. I from early in the morning, wake up, make sure everything's at the venue in place, make sure everything's happening at the if the ceremony is not happening at the same place as the reception is, you gotta make sure everything's in place at the reception at the church or wherever else they're getting married. Go to the venue location, make sure everything's set there. Just making sure it flows throughout the day. Make sure everybody gets to where they needs to be. Sometimes there's a picture break in between, so you gotta make sure the guests are taken care of while the picture party.
Time out, because I didn't know all of this. I might have known a little bit. So you're trying to tell me that you don't only plan the event, get the decor, do you do catering? You get the catering and stuff too?
I can help you get a caterer.
So ultimately, she can do all that stuff.
I coordinate your vendors.
And you also stay there the whole day?
The whole day. I gotta make sure it runs smoothly. I gotta make sure you get to where you need to be. Make sure your makeup is done. Your hair is done on time. You get your dress. You get your before wedding pictures. If you want a first look, you get your first look pictures. You get to the wedding in time. The ceremony starts on time. It goes how it's supposed to go. Make sure the DJ is good and they got all the songs that you want to be played. Your playlist. I mean, they gotta have their own.
And you gotta clean up after?
Well, see, that's a different story. I do clean up after. Not everybody does.
Okay. But when they don't clean up after, they hire?
Yeah.
Okay. But you still have to have somebody come.
Somebody has to clean up because the venue doesn't want it to be left a mess. Like, the venue is not going to say, hey, yeah, just leave it and we'll clean it up later.
Congratulations.
No. That's not going to happen. No, somebody has to clean it up. So normally me and my team will stay behind, we'll clean it up. But then again, we have to make sure that all the guests get out, all the stuff is taken down properly, stored.
And people could be drunk, so they're lingering around.
Where they need to get. If the bride and groom is making a grand exit, we gotta make sure they leave before the guests so that you can capture that moment.
So, question about pricing. Do you charge extra for just being there to help the day to flow?
No. That is,
excuse me?
That is included in my price.
So the price is, you're charging $1 million. That's what you're telling me. She must be charging $1 million. Because I can't even fathom the fact that people are questioning an event planner that's providing a package for you and then spending the day with you to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah, how would you feel if your wedding planner did all this planning for you and was like, here you go, you got it.
I'm like, well, that's what I paid for. So
no. No, because then you'll be working on your wedding day. You'll be stressed trying to make sure all the wedding party is where they need to be. The mother and father of the bride and groom are where they need to be when it's time to take pictures. When
but
it's
this
time to
is actually crazy. Because
it's very crazy. It's constant.
You don't even know these people, and you have to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Like, excuse me, Dad, Mom, can you guys get ready to walk? And then they're gonna get mad, like, I'm talking to the bride and groom.
We gotta line them up, make sure that they're ready when it's time to get ready.
You have a headset? Do you tap into your headset?
Sometimes.
Like the feds? Not like the feds. Okay.
Not like the feds. Please don't tap into my phone. But we do have walkie-talkies that we use. We do a lot of texting, even though it's not really professional.
Okay.
Professional. So I try to keep my phone usage to a minimum, but it's just quicker that way.
Okay.
We don't always have walkie-talkies available to us, so we use what we can. I'm working on getting a nice set. So,
So I'm really in awe about this staying at the event the whole time. I feel like I've gone to weddings.
Don't let there be more than one event happening either. Like the rehearsal dinner, the bachelorette's party.
I didn't think about that.
Bridal brunch, there's different things that happen.
I'm just gonna stick to the one day because I can't even. I'm already stressed out. So my thing is, I'm still confused. So you stay there all day. I'm just thinking about people who get paid salary or even get paid hourly. You come into the office, you work 9 to 5, and there's an event at work. You want to get paid for that event you have to come to. Mm-hmm. If I have to come to an event on a Saturday and I'm required to come, who's paying me? And I'm pretty sure that event is not going to be from, give me an example of a time for the wedding and the reception and prep and all that stuff for the day.
Typical wedding usually starts about 3-4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And the ceremony can be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on what they want to do during the ceremony. And then the reception is about 4 or 5 hours. So it could be from like 3 to 9 or 3 to 11.
But you have to get there what time?
I will probably be up and moving about at 7 a.m. until 11
a.m.
Yeah.
11 p.m.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. I was like, that don't make sense because
no,
the wedding's at 3. So what are you doing? But
I'm getting ready. I'm making sure everything is set, making sure my emergency kit is good to go.
What's the emergency kit?
The emergency.
Whoa. I actually know this girl. That's crazy.
My emergency kit, or a lot of wedding planners, they have the emergency kit where it has glue, tide sticks, pins, just different things that you might need.
So now she's a tailor. You're a tailor now? So if it's my wedding.
I'm not a tailor, but if something happens to your dress, we gotta fix it.
Do you understand? I mean, I know she understands.
We gotta be able to get you all.
Do you understand that I'm now paying you not only to plan my event, but I'm now screwing up my face at the fact that you would also become the baker, the tailor, the microphone check 1 2 1 2. Like,
we become whatever we need to make sure that your day goes smoothly.
We should have talked about all this in the whole episode because I'm confused.
There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that goes into it, and trust me, it's just too much for you to try to do on your own and still enjoy your day. And even if you do enjoy your day because you've hired your friends and family to do it, and by hired I mean like, hey, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, nobody's actually getting paid.
No.
Now they're working and they're not enjoying the day. They're missing certain moments. So it's let me and my team do it, and you and your family enjoy the day as it should be.
So give me a random number. Like, if you didn't know what you knew today as a wedding planner, you were getting married, what would you think? Without being a wedding planner and knowing about all the background stuff that you know, what would you think would be a good price to pay an event planner? Just being ignorant, as an ignorant client.
You want me to be ignorant?
Yeah, not ignorant like ignorant, but like ignorant like mindset. Like.
No, I know. I don't know because I'm not ignorant anymore, so I can't really go there. But I guess clients come with like a $10,000 budget, which is fine until you realize their guest list is like 200 people and they want full service and decor, and it's like, well,
and the food alone is probably like $6,000 or some stupidness, depending on how many.
The food, the venue, the photographer, the caterer, they're probably all like at least $5,000. The venue, let me take that out. The venue was probably like $20,000, depending on where they're going, unless they go into a post or something where you can get it for $500.
Sorry,
but
no shade.
No shade at all. But then it just becomes a decor thing.
Yeah,
like we're gonna put more money into the decor to make this look like it could be a wedding venue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really all about allocating your money the right way.
$10,000, and even if it did cover the decor, the venue, the food, the guest list, the blah, even if it covered all that, you guys aren't paying me to sit there all day.
Exactly.
What do you pay for my time?
Else, it's not covering me.
So I'm just here to be cute and walk around and sweat and chase behind everybody, make sure they're doing everything and not get paid for that. I just want you guys to think about that because I'm literally thinking about that. I actually might even have a nightmare about it.
Please don't. Please
Oh,
don't.
probably. I'm stressed. I'm literally stressed out.
Don't be stressed out. I'm here to relieve that pain for you.
No, I'm stressed out for the pain that people are giving you for not wanting to give you the money that you're worth. For you sitting there, forget everything else. For you sitting there all day with strange people. You don't know these people. And you gotta tell these strangers what to do.
Yeah, but
that might be pretty interesting, by the way. But that might be to be continued.
There's always a story or two, but it's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
Directing strangers because you come to a wedding, you want to know where you gotta go, where to sit, what's happening next, like the whole schedule of events, and sometimes we have that printed out for you to see. Okay, so we're gonna do pictures at this time. They're gonna do the grand entrance at this time.
Pictures sound like money too. It sounds like you gotta go print it out, type stuff, take time. But we're not gonna get into that part.
I mean, that's on the photographer. We got the photographer.
Oh, you don't do that part.
No. I'm not printing out anybody's pictures.
Oh no, I mean like the schedule. Like if you print out the schedule for like this is the
stationery.
Yeah.
Yes, I will work with a stationer or I will do it myself depending on what the budget allows.
I'm just trying to add in factor in all the stuff that she's doing. That's all. In case you guys aren't calculating, I am.
There are certain things that I will do if the budget doesn't allow for you to bring in someone who is specifically like if it doesn't allow you to bring in a balloon designer or a florist. There are little things that I can do that I can do a little bit of balloons. I can do a little bit of flowers. I can do a little bit of stationery. Those I can handle that. So we can still pull off a great event with my skills in those areas plus the planning. But if you have a larger budget that'll allow you to hire a florist or a balloon designer or a stationer or whatever, we're gonna go for that.
Yeah.
Because it will make all the difference in your event.
Right.
I can only do so much. But yeah.
We say all this to say, send your event planners a thank you card, edible arrangement, a house. I don't know, send them something.
A review.
Look at that. A review is nice, quick, fast, and cheap. It doesn't cost anything, actually. Yep. So that's all she's asking for. I told you to give her edible arrangements, a house. I said to give her all of that. I kind of threw that in there. I don't know. Even if she already has a house, send her another one. I don't care. But that's how much she's worth is what I'm trying to say, basically. So when you work with a wedding planner, event planner, whatever you're working with, listen to this episode and be like, wow, let me bring it down a little bit because I almost got a little upset for no reason. Or
we don't need you to get upset.
Let me communicate something properly. It's a lot for us. It's a lot for them. It's a lot for everybody. But this is where we understand, like, it is a lot for everybody. Just because she's not walking down the aisle with me, she's doing everything else for me. So just...
I won't be far. I'll be at the end of the aisle.
With her walkie-talkie.
Making sure your dress is laid out properly.
And sewing in buttons when they fall out. Like, just respect and appreciate your event planner and your wedding planner, please, because this is a prime example of all the things, and probably not even everything that they do. And they're probably still not getting paid what they're worth. So let's keep that in mind. We love you guys.
Listen, we love you guys too. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
To make your day special. Or breathless.
Breathless Events. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.